What is fear? Is it the knowledge and realization of a concept that violates our sense of safety? On the surface, yes, fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. But what about a phobia? What about a compulsive disorder? What about anxiety or paranoia? The complexities of fear are a construct that have woven their way into our species and our expectations of civilization, intrinsic to our DNA, weaved into our very fabric of existence. Fear was the sole motivation that made our species so resourceful, so adaptable. It's why we tell stories of the bestial things that lurk in the shadows of the forest. It's why we sit around campfires and warn of the things that go bump in the night. But what if fear was a creature in and of itself? Well, of course, the SCP Foundation has got us covered, so let me introduce you to SCP-2006, the true meaning of fear. Hello internet and welcome back to the most inquisitive channel on YouTube, Life's Biggest Questions. As per usual, I'll be your disembodied floating voice Jack Finch as we curiously ask the question, what if SCP-2006 was real? Roll the clip. That footage was from the 1953 independently made black and white sci-fi horror movie Robot Monster, which, widely considered, is one of the worst movies ever made. In it, an all-powerful robot alien attempts to destroy the few remaining survivors of humanity with essentially stock footage from 1950s creature feature flicks. It's funny how that works, isn't it? But really, when we look at the development of horror cinema throughout the last century, we find stark similarities with the conceptual function of SCP-2006 and the way that modernity has encapsulated a halcyon presentation of horror. Let's dial the theoretical concepts down for a moment though and take a look at what this guy is all about. As the record states, SCP-2006 is a Keter-class anomalous spherical entity roughly 50 centimeters in diameter when in its default state. SCP-2006's stated goal is to cause feelings of fear and or horror in as many humans as possible. To accomplish this purpose, 2006 possesses the ability to change its shape, mass, volume, density, chemical structure, and voice to any form that it desires. Currently, there is no known way to damage SCP-2006. The extent of its shapeshifting abilities are also unknown and are currently thought to be unlimited. That's kinda worrying, right? It's kind of like if the entire plot of Cabin in the Woods was contained and wrapped up in one terrifying neat little package. Although the real crux of SCP-2006 is in its special containment procedures. It is to be contained at Site-118 in an airtight containment cell and must be constantly monitored for all changes in form because, as we previously stated, its shapeshifting abilities could potentially be unlimited. Strangely enough, all personnel coming into contact with SCP-2006 are required to enroll in an acting course with a focus on expressing fear and surprise. Every month, 2006 is to be shown at least one new, extremely low quality horror or science fiction movie containing horror elements. Low quality is the key word there, and it's very important. All interaction with the entity must confirm that SCP-2006 continues to believe that said works demonstrate a superb grasp of horror, and that in itself may be a terrifying prospect for horror aficionados, but nevertheless, this facade is exactly what's keeping us all safe. Essentially, its primary function is to absorb, articulate, and emulate fear. But thankfully for us, the scariest thing in its current repertoire is 1953's Robot Monster, which isn't scary at all. Sorry, Phil Tucker. But herein lies the real fear of SCP-2006, in its ability to discern precisely what makes our skin crawl. Thankfully for us, although tentatively, it's contained within the Foundation. But in this hypothetical situation, SCP-2006 has gotten out, and instead of the primitive examples of bad B-movie 1950s horror to work with, it has an entire genre, a world of terrifying inconsistencies, and over 7 billion fearful human minds to understand the exact meaning of fear. And as some of you may be aware, there's kind of a lot to be scared of right now. As Dr. Randall Owings puts it, the director of Site-118 explained in a letter to Foundation personnel not to become complacent with SCP-2006, imagine if it broke containment and found out what really scared people. Imagine if it saw the horror and fear of war, or the concepts of paranoia or phobias common to each and every human being. Imagine if it found the true horror of a nuclear holocaust or an XK class scenario. The question that we're really asking isn't what if SCP-2006 was real, it's what if our worst nightmares were real. Much like how Stephen King's It, through Pennywise the Clown or the Deadlights for the horror pedants amongst you, used fear as a myriad of weaponry, so too would SCP-2006. On that note, you can also count Pennywise the Clown into 2006's horror canon. Are you scared yet? We'd have Hellraiser's Pinhead, Halloween's Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Chucky, the Bride of Chucky, Leatherface, Norman Bates, Minnie Castevet, Annie Wilkes, the Babadook, the Candyman, Samara Morgan, Jack Torrance, Dracula, Pazuzu, Black Phillip, freaking Hannibal Lecter, The Thing, for crying out loud, the Xenomorph, the Allied Master Computer, the Child Catcher, Randall Flagg, who is probably Nyarlathotep, and thus every Lovecraftian entity would shriek alongside him, Triangle Head, Creepers, Jeepers Creepers, and Demon Jeeps, Demon Headmasters, demons in general, all of them, Hellfire and Brimstone, the entire collection and catalogue of horror fiction and fandom since the dawn of humanity would be alive and writhing across the planet, because we remembered and we recorded it and we made it into a storybook or a blockbuster motion picture, and SCP-2006 would eat it up like Bruce Bogtrotter eats a chocolate cake. But who knows, maybe it is real and it already got out, and all of those horror icons paled in comparison to what it actually saw. Who knows? 2018 was a pretty weird year after all. Well, there we have it. Why don't you let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Before we depart though, let's read out some of your more creative comments from over the past few days. Prince Jordell says, what if there was no clip? Well, Prince Jordell, that's a real possibility, and that's a fear that I live with on a day-to-day basis. Thankfully, for the most part, there is a clip, and that makes me happy. Roll the clip. Jurassic Muffet Adventures Rex says, what if the asteroids never hit the dinosaur? There's something about this sentence that's not quite right. I'm just gonna leave this one here. And finally, Super Dogman says, what if Slappy fought Chucky? Well, that's an easy one. Chucky, hands down. He'd just have to say, Karu, Mari, Adonna, Loma, Malonu, Carano, and it'd be a done deal. Or is it the other way around? Oh no. Well, unfortunately folks, I'm going to have to head off, but cheers for sticking around all the way until the end. If you're a fan of this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, as well as that subscribe button, and we'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your disembodied floating voice, Jack Finch. You've been watching Life's Biggest Questions, and until next time, you take it easy.